ask monks about their family problems. So you hear a lot. You hear the good things, you hear the not so good things, the suffering. We say, if we become a monk, we take the easy way out. No family, so very easy. No worries, no responsibilities there. You just look after yourself as a monk. And then suddenly, the longer you become a monk, more people come asking you for advice, so you end up with a huge family. Lots of students, other monks live with you, many people come and ask. So it's a strange kind of karma being a monk. You go into the forest for seclusion, and in the end everybody follows you. Anyone have any questions? Maybe you want me to ask you something. Pick on somebody. How is your life going? You might have a general question about something that we didn't ask, what nobody asked on the retreat, or something you've just been thinking about. Anything? In the back.
How do we deal with family conflict? Because in Singapore, we live in very small spaces together.
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
Yeah. Good question, I'd say. You have to be very patient with each other and your own feelings and thoughts that come up day by day. If you're trying to practice Buddhism, you take the 5 precepts as your central guideline. So that includes, watching what you say, so you don't say things that intentionally harm others, lie or be abusive or aggressive in your speech, backstabbing, telling tales, all of these things you try to avoid. And of course, if you see people every day because you're in your small apartment, then it's a challenge. So I would put a lot of time into reflecting on speech. It's maybe as part of your daily practice as a Buddhist. You don't have to do it as a meditation, but just reflect, what am I saying? How do I talk well to the people I live with? If someone you live with is, for you, it's difficult, they bully you, or they boss you around, or they have a different opinion from you, you have to think, how will I deal with this? Because you can't just run away. Sometimes you can run away, but while you're with them, how can I find peace within this situation? So you're learning to be at peace, or find the peaceful way within the situation. If somebody else, their behavior is different, you have a different standard. Maybe you live with someone who drinks alcohol, or gambles, or they're just not very cooperative. They do things their way in their space. This is a very common one. Even family members, some family members just go into their space, put on their headphones, look at their screen, and they don't care about anything else. They don't help much with cleaning or cooking, and everyone else around them gets very upset and annoyed. This kind of thing is very common. So you'll have to deal both with your own internal emotions. Maybe you get angry, but if you display your anger to that person, you scold them, you complain, you argue, it's unlikely to make the situation better. If you want them to understand the problem from your point of view, or best is to present it with well-chosen words. The Buddha always said, speak from a place of kindness. You wish them well, and you want them to understand how they're affecting the family or the situation, because maybe they don't see. You've got to have well-wishing, choose the right words, pick the right time. You can't just blurt it out any old time, and you think, when's the best time to talk to this person? When they're most relaxed, when they've got time, when they can listen. It's never easy, but you have to think about these things. So you do the best you can in the situation if you need to communicate with them. If they're giving you a lot of suffering, they're rude or selfish in the way they treat you, you have a lot of patience, and see how you can live with them, manage it without giving into more unskillful ways of behavior on your side. Not always easy. If it gets really bad, well, obviously people, they move out, they separate, but in the short term you want to try and find a way to be at peace with the person. And we can't change other people very well. If you say parents and children, well, that's part of the parents' job, is to educate and bring up the children and try and give them the tools to live their life well. So I always think the teaching on karma is a really good one for parents teaching children. Teach them about karma, to reflect on their actions and the results of their actions, and into that habit, so then they can see where they may be creating their own suffering in life. But for adults, it's quite hard to change, especially adults older than us. They're unlikely to listen to us or follow us. So then you have to come back to yourself. How do you practice in this situation with this person, this older person? You're not going to change their views, the way they do things. They're set in their ways, maybe. So how can you manage to live with them and look after yourself, but with that person? If it's a parent, you just, most of the time, you just let them be as they wish, and you try not to teach them or tell them, because they're the parent if you're their offspring, the child. And just accept, even if they have a different view, a different opinion than you, just accept it. Don't argue, because they're your parents. And it doesn't mean to say you have to give up your views. If you think something is right, you believe it, you know it, that's good. But don't argue with them, because they're your parents. So give them all that respect and space, listen to them. Because sometimes parents, and they know more than us in some things because they've lived longer. We might think we know best, but the parent is your parent. They brought you into the world, so we try to give them lots of respect. Siblings are harder, isn't it? Siblings, brothers and sisters, they're almost like competing with us for things, for money, wealth, for reputation, prestige in the family. Everyone's got to follow me, do it my way. Sometimes they're like that. There's all these challenges, but you have to see what in that situation, what should you be doing? What can you achieve? And often there's nothing we can do to change the other person. All we can do is work on ourselves. See, it's an opportunity to learn. And what you learn from that situation may help you throughout your life. If you learn to live with someone who's very stubborn, doesn't cooperate, doesn't help, they're selfish, and you learn to live with them, maybe that can help you, gives you some ideas and some practices for being in the workplace or later on in life. If you have a sense of humor, it helps. If you're with someone who's difficult, laugh and laugh with them. If you can get them to laugh, it's good. But even if you can't, you laugh. Laugh at yourself, laugh at the situation, then you lighten up. It's not so serious. So a bit of humor can help. You notice when we get caught into suffering with other people, we take ourselves very seriously. Oh, I'm suffering and they've made me suffer and it's not right. We become very serious, and every thought we take it very seriously, we believe it. But really speaking, we may be making ourselves suffer more than even the other person is, because we're just attaching to our own opinions and our own feelings so much. Sometimes a sense of humour helps, and laugh a bit. And just say, oh, they're just doing their funny thing that they do. So it depends on the situation, but we have to learn, number one, keep our own mind in a good state as much as we can. We have to learn to let go of our reactions when living with other people, and we don't see eye to eye. They do things their way, we do ours. Rather than just being in constant battle with another person, you want to try and have some common goals and be able to be at peace with that person. Every family is different. If it's husband and wife, often they both practice the Dhamma or listen to Dhamma. They understand they have to try to be patient with the situation when they have their differences. Can't be too selfish. Have to be a little bit compromising, give and take. Oh, it's quite possible. People that can live together. They're different characters, but they can live together for 50 years. We had one monk who was born in Mongolia, and he was raised in a tent. He had 12 brothers and sisters, his mum and dad, all living in one tent. Maybe this size, I don't know how big it was, but I would imagine something like this size. Everyone, I said, what did you do when you had to do your homework? He said, well, I sit here and do my homework on my knee. My sister's there, my brother's there, mum and dad come in and out. If you know Mongolia, it's in the summer it can be like 36, 40 degrees, even hotter than Singapore can be. In the winter it can be minus 30, snow and ice everywhere. And all they've got is a tent. And there's this one wood heater in the middle, and all these people there. He said, you just get used to it. You don't think too much about other people. You don't get too serious because there's no choice. So we have to make the best of the situations we're in. If you're thinking negatively about your life situation, stop, pause, and think, well, what's good about the situation, rather than just what's wrong with it, what's bad, what's good. So you may be in a small apartment in Singapore, but you've got plenty to eat, you've got all the basic things you need in life. If you have a job, well, that's good. You have healthcare, you have access to healthcare. You've got enough money to also travel a bit. You've got the Dhamma to help you, the Buddhist teachings. Think about all the good things, so then you're not just stuck with what's wrong and the fault-finding mind, but you appreciate the good as well. It doesn't mean to say you don't notice what's wrong, but you appreciate the good to bring your thinking up and your feeling up a bit. If you have a small apartment, less cleaning, less maintenance. If you have a big house, there's a lot to look after. Lots of people in Melbourne, they have their big house, nice garden, big house, but by the time they get older and the kids are grown up, they all want to buy somewhere smaller and downsize because they say, I got no time to look after the garden, and there's all these rooms we don't use. It becomes a burden. So, look at things from a different angle, and it can help us to be more at peace with it and understand it better. Same with monks. We started our monastery with 2 monks and a tiny little rented house with 2 bedrooms, and people came. There's just 1 toilet, and sometimes you get a group of 30 devotees come to offer dana, listen to the Dhamma talk. There's 1 toilet, and it's right in the middle, so you're giving a Dhamma talk, people are going in and out of the toilet all the time, and the walls are paper thin. In the winter it was really cold. All kinds of things were wrong. And they would say, when we build our monastery, it'll be better. And then we built our monastery, so now we have monastery and have lots more people come. We have all kinds of facilities. We've got nice toilets, but then you have to look after the toilets. Lots of space, so you've got to cut the grass and you've got to do all the things. So you get the nice big property and the big sangha and lots of lay devotees, but there's more problems. nothing is perfect. So don't get lost into the dream, when I have the perfect place. I don't think it exists. Everywhere has its good side and its bad side.
That's a question. Okay, usually on once some months, I try to intensify my practice as well. But personally, sometimes I notice that it clashes with some of the family gatherings, which is a bit hard to make a decision whether to, because a family gathering is everyone together.
I know. Yeah.
So it's on Upasaka day I find a struggle to pick and decide. So, and I also feel very guilty for not joining them. So I tried. So I was just wondering, what is your advice? I mean, in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the end, it's your choice, your decision. You know your family better than I do. So, what some people do is, in the beginning, there's this issue: should I go to the family gathering? Should I go to the temple or retreat or something? If you're keeping 8 precepts, should I go to the family dinner and just sit there with my water? Or should I give up my 8 precepts and join in the meal, make everyone happy because they're not happy if I don't eat? You have all these kind of issues in the beginning. And then over time, you have to look at yourself and see, well, where is my heart? Where is my commitment? And if you're already more committed to the Dhamma practice, in no way is that turning you against your family or anything like that, but because you may be committed to a higher level of sila and commitment to meditation and maybe going to the temple on a Uposatha day, this kind of thing. At some point you probably have to make a decision and then inform everybody what your level of participation in family events will be. You could even involve your decision making with family and say, look, you tell them exactly what your problem is. You like to practice on these Uposatha days, but you don't have anything against the family, and you're not rejecting the family, but you want to spend more time with your Dhamma practice because you think in the long run that's the best thing. And then you talk to them about what your level of participation will be, and you let everyone know what to expect. So you might say, well, I'll be always away on the Uposatha, but maybe on this special occasion, Chinese New Year or Kengbeng or something, there'll be these are few occasions when I come back or join the family. So you let them know, then there'll be other times when I'm not there. And they'll have their opinion, and maybe someone might criticize you or feel hurt. You can explain that. It's nothing personal, it's not a rejection of the family, it's just I want to pursue this spiritual practice as well, and it should make me a better person. This will help the family as well. You explain it as best you can, and at first there'll probably be a bit of feedback, and they're not so happy maybe, but if you continue to practice and they see you're not doing anything wrong, bad, harmful, you're still friendly, you still interact with the family in a positive, good way, and sometimes you do participate in their event. If they see that, maybe over time everyone will settle down and accept, oh, she's doing her Buddhist thing on the special day, she's doing that, and they just accept it. It becomes part of who you are, and nobody doubts it. But it depends on your family, of course, and how much freedom they give you in their thinking, whether they look on you as the black sheep. You're off doing something very hard, meditating, keeping 8 precepts, and everyone else is telling you how bad you are. Sometimes practice is like that. Like monks, we become monks, and half the families are telling us we're crazy, we're bad, we're wrong, we're deluded. It takes a while before they settle down, and maybe eventually they will recognize the good we're doing. Human society is like this. They won't always understand your reasoning straight away, so you have to give it time. And then also, it's almost like they're testing you whether you're serious. So say you do your Uposatha Sila for a few weeks, and then you say, oh, feeling guilty, I better go back to the family for a while on these times, and you go back and say, I thought you were doing your Buddhist thing, and you say, no, I'm here to be with the family. Well, that's going to be difficult, because next time they say, where are you? You came last time, you got to come this time. Difficult. So you have to, in the end, you have to make your own decision what level of commitment in your practice, the precepts, the activities you're going to do, and you explain to them, and then you stick to it. But everything's uncertain. You can change eventually. After a few years, you decide, oh, I want to do things differently, or you can adjust again. Life is, nothing is fixed and permanent, is it? So you can learn over time and maybe adjust things.
I would like to ask a question. How do we deal or manage our jealousy that someone is better than us? Like we want to be better than the person. How should we manage our jealousy? And then the second question is how to manage the ego of one. I always want to be the top, be the best.
Well, specifically jealousy, I'd say if you meditate regularly, even if only a brief period every day, you're at least a bit of meditation. You become more aware of your thoughts, and if you see a recurring pattern, maybe jealousy around a certain person, if you're meditating, you're becoming more aware of jealousy, how it feels, what it does to your mind. You probably start to see it's suffering. So then you have that wish to change this way of thinking, change that habit. You're looking at where it's coming from. The Buddha said, well, if you're jealous of someone, you're always looking at them, you're dissatisfied with them. They're doing better than me, they're smarter than me, they're richer than me, they're better looking than me, blah, blah, blah. If you notice you're doing that, try and develop the quality of mudita. It's the opposite. And you're saying, if they're getting on in their job, good for them. If they're making lots of money, good for them. If they have various kinds of success, good for them. And you have to focus on that regularly, so that you can, and sincerely, it's not just a sort of token recognition of the good and the success they have, but you're really working to see it as something good for everyone, good for them, good for everyone. But you also have to do it in yourself, because part of it, like you say, self-view, ego. If someone is doing well, and we feel they're doing better than me, then we feel hurt, even just by their success. They haven't done anything to us deliberately, but we just feel hurt because they're around and they're successful. We're feeling, maybe sometimes we feel intimidated, afraid, sometimes we feel self-critical. And then you also have to work on that. And maybe you have to practice mudita with yourself as well. So you go, oh, but I have other good qualities and I'm working on other good things. Not as a competition to that person, but you just recognize the good in yourself and you aspire to do more good, bring this up. So you're not focusing on yourself as some kind of like looking for fault in yourself or being critical, self-critical. You're just saying we're a balance. We have some good in us, but we also have our faults. And the Dhamma practice is to address this, to abandon the unskillful thoughts and states of mind and to cultivate the more skillful ones. That's the daily practice we're doing. You do it in yourself, and then also sometimes you look at someone else and you feel jealous, but don't just assume that's correct. Maybe they also have suffering and problems. You just don't know. And we always have this: the grass is greener on the other side. Look, I say this because we used to have lots of cows living around the monastery, and they'd always jump the fence to come and eat our grass in the monastery. And I said, cows eat exactly the same, but they never believe me. But anyway, you look at other people, they they must be doing so well. They're so smart. They're so cool, but maybe they have lots of problems that you just don't know because they haven't shared with you. human beings have a lot in common. We tend to focus on the differences, which is partly why we have jealousy and rivalry. But actually, there's a lot in common. And you get angry, they get angry. You have jealousy, maybe they have jealousy, and you just don't know about it. So keep an open mind, but see jealousy is suffering, and it's coming from this attachment to partly, as you say, from competitiveness, and that's coming partly from greed. I've got to be successful, I've got to impress. Ultimately, if you develop more sila, samadhi, wisdom, these inner qualities, your external success is less important. So jealousy will naturally drop away because you have more inner happiness. You have to patiently work on your Dhamma practice, and you'll get to a point where it really doesn't matter. If someone's doing well, good for them. If someone's doing badly, you feel sorry for them. You just respond to people and their situations more with Dhamma. Jealousy is more in that world we said, material success, fame and fortune, or who gets more likes on their Facebook, all this kind of thing. After a while you realise it doesn't matter. That's not true happiness. So then jealousy will drop away quite quickly once you're developing your own inner Dhamma practice. The other thing is, be patient. Everything takes time, and there's always someone who shoots ahead and seems to be top of the class, genius, doing so well, so quickly, so young, got everything, and good for them. Okay, practice mudita, but it can all change. And, life changes, doesn't it? And 10 years later, things are more even, or maybe even they fall. Some people are shooting stars, we call them. Some. And then others are rising stars, and they're on the up and up, and they start really low, but then they go up. Many people you meet, as a monk, you meet people over long periods of time, and you realize everything is fluid, everything changes. Don't get too stuck in one view of a person or a situation, because things can change. Like my nephew, I always remember this one, and when I used to visit England, my nephew, when he was about 11, he was bullied, the teachers didn't like him, had very few friends, everyone picked on him, his mum, my sister, really worried about him. Didn't seem to have anything going for him. And then little by little, as he got older, he found the subjects at school he liked. He started to do well. Now he's an engineer, so good at physics, maths, came up. He went to university. By the time he got his first degree, the companies were coming, knocking on his door, saying, "We want you." And he had lots of friends, and everything completely changed in a period of 10 years. And you expect that with young people. It's really hard to predict where their life will go, what will happen. And now he's a PhD, done a PhD, and he's smart. He's got all kinds of good things going for him. From a time when everyone thought, everyone felt sorry for him, struggling. Doesn't always last like that. Same with monks. Sometimes monks come in, someone comes into the monastery as a Buddhist monk, and they're there for a while, and everyone looks at them and go, "Oh, this guy will never last." Or, he can't chant, he can't meditate, he can't do this, can't wear his robes. Oh, he looks like he's in real trouble. But then he sticks to it. He's got patience. He sticks to it, and he learns a few things. And 20 years later, he's a teacher. It happens all the time with monks. If they just stick with the practice is a learning, and it forms their character. It changes them for the better. This is one of the reasons Ajahn Chah is such an amazing teacher and so popular. It's because so many different kinds of people went to live with him. He's a very generous and compassionate and wise monk. So he had, all the foreigners who come from all over the world, different backgrounds, and then all these Thais. Some Thais came from, majority were from northeast Thailand, farmers with hardly any education in those days. And then there's also monks who came from Bangkok. Some people had a good job and then they became a monk. Some monks were scholars, some monks were builders, some monks were meditators. the Sangha is such a wide, diverse group of people, always has been and still is today. You see people come into the Sangha and they're all different characters. So yeah, of course, at the beginning there's a bit of friction. The builders stay together, the chanters stay together, the meditators are over here. You get little groups, and the sort of people move towards their faith, their group in the monastery. But over time, 10, 20, 30 years, those monks all learn to be monks. They keep the precepts, they meditate, they learn all the things they learn, and all that friction disappears, and they become very inspiring people. And anyone can do that, literally. A farm boy, a city boy, a Westerner, a Thai, Northeast Thai, Central Thai, all those differences are kind of evened out. We call it the process. The new monk is like the little rock from on top of the mountain, all full of sharp, pointy bits, and a very ugly kind of rock. Time you get breaking off the top of a mountain, and then it moves down the mountain in the streams and bumps together with other rocks. And by the time it gets down to the big river at the bottom of the valley, it's nice, smooth pebble, all nice and smooth. And I don't know about Singapore, but in Melbourne, you go to the garden supply, they have this pile of big smooth river pebbles, and they cost the most because they're the most beautiful. They start off up there all pointy and jagged, and you don't want to hold them because they hurt. But by the time they're in the river, all smooth, all very nice. That's what the practice does. And everyone's got something. Everyone has some skills, some knowledge, some good qualities, and they bring them out through the practice. Lay people, monks, doesn't matter. So this sort of jealousy, rivalry thing, you just step back a bit, be aware of your habit, obviously, but just tell yourself, it's not sure. You wait. If you're practicing the Dhamma, good things will happen for sure. And people who practice the Dhamma, they progress in many ways. Over time, they'll appreciate that. In Ajahn Chah's monastery, we have this kind of joke with everyone is foremost in something. So, some monks, the good chanter, like our chanter, is he here? At the back, he's falling asleep. We have the good chanter, foremost. But in the time of the Buddha, you have 80 arahants from the monks, and you also have the leading ones for the nuns, the bhikkhunis. These 80 arahants, they're called ekataka. Each one has a quality, a special quality that the Buddha gave them. You're best at, like Mahamoggallana, you're foremost in psychic powers, the ability to fly through the sky and read minds and all that. Anuruddha, you've got the divine eye, you're foremost in divine eye. Sariputta, very smart, foremost in analysing the Dhamma and teaching the Dhamma. Some monks were foremost in just being quick to understand the Dhamma, really quickly, the quick one, the sharp one. Some are foremost in teaching long Dhamma talks, elaborate explanations of the Dhamma. Some are good at teaching very short, brief statements. They do really well on TikTok these days. little Dhamma statement. Everyone had something. One's foremost in Vinaya, Upali is foremost in Vinaya. He knows all the rules, he can explain them, he knows how they work in the practice, and that's necessary. You need someone like that. Everyone had some skill that they became good at over time. Maybe not from day one, but over time they developed this skill. So the Ajahn Chah did the same. And so there was one monk from Indonesia who's really kind of self-deprecating. He's like, I can't do anything, I can't meditate, I can't shout very well. And he's from Indonesia, so he didn't know Thai very well. But he had faith, he was a very nice person. When it came to do afternoon chores, he would always be in the hall and there's all the wiping of the Buddha and the shrine. And Ajahn Chah would come in and say, oh, he does such a good job cleaning, dusting, wiping. Ajahn Chah rub his finger along the marble shrine, not a speck of dust. This guy is foremost in dusting. So okay, foremost in dusting. Another monk was sweeping. He's also feeling very depressed. Oh, it's so hard to practice the life of a monk. He's sweeping, and Ajahn Chah just came up and said, when you sweep leaves, do it 100%. Make yourself the best sweeper in the monastery. He's just giving him an idea. You know. Even sweeping can become something you become good at. Chanting, sewing robes, obviously meditating, talking the Dhamma, studying the Dhamma. Some monks are really good at study and they become scholars. They can remember all the Pali and the quotes. You know, everyone can become good at something. So you need to focus more on that kind of approach, develop your positive qualities, and then other people's successes and failures, you know, that's their karma, their issue, and you can be happy for their success, feel sorry for their failures. You have to focus on yourself more.
My parents are very devout Christians, so recently I've been thinking that eventually when they get on the age, possibly if they're one that they've been like their dying wish for me to convert. So I was wondering if you could have any words of wisdom on how I can handle this potential situation as skillfully as possible without being dishonest and also not adding on to my parents' suffering.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but if you always maintain in your heart respect for other religions, other religious teachings, Christianity included, then you don't have to feel ashamed by saying, well, I have my faith in the Buddha and the Buddhist practice, but I fully respect your practice and appreciate what you've done, your beliefs and your practices. Say it with confidence because it's really in your heart, that's really true what you believe and what you've done through your life. And hopefully your parents live a long time. And give them a chance to see that. In the short space of time it may be hard, but in the long run you hope that you can win them round in the sense that they respect you as you respect them. That's your goal, isn't it? You don't impede their Christian practice and faith, and you look after them still as parents. You do your best to care for them and be kind to them. And I'd meditate on this very kind of thing. When you're meditating, spread thoughts of loving kindness to your parents. You don't have to wish for them to be Buddhist or anything like that, but you're just wishing them to be well, peaceful, happy, to have understanding, how to free themselves from suffering, the sort of things you wish for as a Buddhist. But you're not saying, I hope they become Buddhist, you're just saying you wish them to be well and trying to get peace. And do that regularly through your life. Festival would be daily. A daily meditation of sharing, spreading metta to people, and usually we start with our parents. So that maybe later on when they're getting weaker, older, closer to their death, it's just quite a natural thing to have loving kindness for them, care for them. And really the Christianity and Buddhism and things are just labels that don't really matter so much. I don't know your parents, so maybe they still will be very clinging to the labels and upset that you're not a Christian. But if you're doing the right thing, and Buddhism teaches to look after parents, care for parents, do whatever you can spiritually and materially for your parents. If you're doing that, there's nothing to feel guilty about or ashamed about.
When my son was younger, he used to attend Dhamma classes, but he find Dhamma classes very boring. And then he refused to attend any more Dhamma classes. And now that he's in his teenage years, it's even worse. He refused to have anything to do with Buddhism. And he just doesn't like to hear anything with the Dhamma. And then even when he's doing anything, he doesn't strive to do his best. He's just mediocre. I'm happy being a mediocre person. I'm just, as long as I don't feel, I'm not at the bottom, I'm fine. So how do I help him to, as he goes through his life and get him to actually understand more about Dhamma?
Yeah. So I wouldn't try and force him too much, because that usually, you force your kids in any direction, it usually pushes them further away from the thing you want them to be with. So it's very normal that teenagers don't want to go to a Sunday school or temple. From time to time you might try to be creative and see if there's any kind of Dhamma activity or media or talks or anything that may be attractive to him, but just be very patient while he's a teenager. When you're a teenager, you don't know what you want, it's all over the place, so you have to be patient. One is practice for yourself, because the more you practice sincerely, the more happiness and understanding you get from your own practice. At the very least, this will keep you in a good state of mind to deal with your son and his character. And he may even notice that mum benefits from her Dhamma practice, and that will go into his consciousness, and he'll remember that. You don't want to be a really strict Buddhist mum, do this, do that, do your meditation, come to the party. If they remember that, it's like, they'll associate Buddhism with pain and suffering. So you don't want that. So you actually have to partly be like a walking advert of why we practice Buddhism. You've got your work cut out for you, and then your son, maybe it could be better, but maybe it could be worse. If he's mediocre, that's better than being at the bottom, may not be at the top. Maybe there's something to it, and he just hasn't flowered yet. He hasn't found what he likes. So perhaps as a parent, you try to steer him into seeing what he likes in school, in life, what things that inspire him and energize him to want to try, want to learn, want to find out. You have to try and help him find that. It may take time. A lot of people don't really know until they're in their 20s what they want to do in life. You have to be patient. And while you're being patient, as long as he's not making any serious bad karma, not hurting anyone or stealing, going out taking drugs and whatever, well, maybe it's not too bad. Sure, things could be better, but many things could be worse as well. You just keep looking at what you can do to help him grow as a human being, a good human being, and what school subjects and what parts of life he may be interested in. Get to know his character as much as you can, observe him, think about it, and don't worry too much, because he's still young. Things may not, there may be no problems really, things may turn out quite well. But focus on your practice as well, your personal practice, because that will actually help you become wiser in how to deal with this.
Keeping silent in the morning. So normally I only speak after meal, so that I don't say anything that so-called using wrong speech. At least half of my day I didn't speak. And I have Ajahn, she's my mom, that will always trigger me. Even I don't speak, she also can trigger me mentally, or sometimes
try not to say anything to her. She is like, why I'm not saying anything. If I say something, then she will, add this whole story. Then it's like I cannot take it because it's like I'm knowing her for so long, and her story keep repeating and repeating until I already know very detailed. It's like so when I'm with her, I
Looks like everyone else has got the same mother.
I cannot control myself. So I really give up hope of trying to do anything, converting her or changing her view because she has her own opinion. Sometimes I already aware that she's not doing something right. I try to make some suggestion. Then she will give a lot of positive comments. So I try to practice good speech or right speech, but I cannot polish my speech when I'm with her. Even I try to say something kind of will, but I do not know how should I do best in trying to associate with her. Especially now she is aged at 80 this coming 80 soon. And I will have more time with her because she might fall, sick and need people to take care of her. Although now she's staying alone, can manage by herself, but I foresee that one day I might be with her.
Your mum lives with who?
Herself, but we are staying very near. Just a few.
You have any family?
I and my brothers. We are all staying very near to her, but none of us can stay with her. That's why we stay near with her.
Yeah.
So she had an accident before, and I tried to take care of her for 3 months. Really torture me and her also. But that is why when you talk about maintaining right speech, I try to maintain no speech. Also cannot. So I wonder how to build some wholesome thoughts within myself, and also send that I have blockage of sending metta to her. I start with sending metta to myself that I try to be good, not too wholesome, don't have unskillful thought towards her. But sometimes words just come out. And I have a hot-tempered brother, which I try to stop him from saying bad things about my mom. So it's like a challenge. So my question is, if I practice not to speak like what I'm practicing now, not in the morning, so that I have a calmer mind, and when I visit her, I also try to practice that for a longer period of time, so that I have patience and more merit before visiting, so that I will not say anything wrong.
Yeah.
Is that a good move, or is
I'd
there
say
any
it's a
better move?
temporary solution. It's not really a permanent solution. But the obvious one, what if something happens to your mum in the morning? You're going to have to talk, you're going to have to do things and communicate.
For every day, I will call her in to check whether
I know,
she's okay.
temporarily that's okay, but sometimes things happen in the morning and there may be a need to talk, so don't be too rigid.
Yeah. If she call, I will try to answer. Just that being in my house by myself, especially with my husband, I don't talk to him in the morning so that I can have a peaceful mind.
Well,
But
it's
I'm not very
okay.
sure,
It's okay as your personal rule, the practice, and you let everyone know. That's the main thing. They have to know what you're doing, so they don't misunderstand and think you don't like them or something's wrong. So first thing is let people know what you're doing. And second, don't be too rigid because sometimes there's a need to talk.
Yes.
In the household life, in the morning, things happen. Be ready for that. I would recommend doing a daily metta meditation for your mind.
I meditate every day, 4 hours a day.
Okay, then
every
within
session,
that 4 hours, fit in a mum metta meditation.
Mum,
Until you can think of mum with genuine loving kindness, none of the negative thoughts coming up. That's your goal. Have a pure, good perception of your mum and a genuine well-wishing of her. You have to go beyond the sort of the sankharas that make us speak, your mum's opinions, your opinions, all this. They're just sankharas that come and go, they arise, they pass away. Now we're focusing more on the relationship you have with your mum. Your mum gave birth to you, brought you up. She's done this given this amazing gift to you of life. Now is the time to just show her love, tolerance, patience, kindness, both in action and in speech and in thought. And you have to get the thought right, and that will help guide your speech. So, if you haven't got it in your mind yet, then of course when you speak, they'll be clunky, clumsy, things will come out wrong because the mind isn't right yet. So you have to work on both levels. And I would do it as a priority because your mum is 80 and she's not going to be around that much longer. So you want to sort this out now. Don't wait till the last minute. So every day do a meditation on metta. When you go to be with her, do everything you can for her, and to keep reminding yourself to tolerate her opinions and words. If you've heard the same story over and over again, it's easy. You know what she'll say. You can predict what she'll say, so you don't need to react now because you know. So mentally prepare. Oh, she'll tell me that one. She said that before. She'll say it again. She said this. You get to know her habits, her character. Then it's easy. It's not a surprise. You won't throw something out at you that you didn't expect because you know her character and what she'll say. So mentally prepare for that. Oh, your mum will say that, yeah. But don't just follow your habitual reactions.
sorry, if whenever she recalls, it's something negative that she get angry by herself.
Yeah, or
Then-
feel compassion for.
So can I use that as a meditation object to say that may she don't think of anything that's negative that create bad feeling for herself.
If that's what works for you, okay, yeah. Whatever way you want to word it. But it's not just words, is it? That's your aspiration. May she not think of negative things. But it's also a feeling. You have to have that genuine feeling that this is, when you were a baby, she just had automatic love for you. Feed you middle of the night, clean you, care for you, do anything for you for years and years. You have to cultivate that same kind of feeling from your heart. So the words help. You can design that part yourself. What kind of words, what aspiration you want to use. You may repeat that regularly, like a mantra. But you also have to focus on your heart and open up the heart to genuine goodwill, and of course to other people as well. But I'd focus on your mum. It sounds like this is a big thing for you. And do it a lot. While she's here, she's not going to be here that much longer. She's at the end of her life. So while she's here, make use of this time to clear up any of your own negativity towards your mum. So, I always use these kind of funny phrases like mum is always right, mum is never wrong. You just say it, just hypnotize yourself, brainwash yourself. Or mum is the queen. The queen must be obeyed, okay. Whatever works for you to get you're just doing your duty, giving something back to your mum, tolerating her, you've been around so long, she's been around so long, you don't need to like her or change her or any of those things. Now you just accept her as the way she is and you just work with the way she is. But she really needs you, even though she'll probably say, oh, I don't need anyone, I'm independent. You have our independence. But in reality, she needs you, she depends on you. She possibly will depend on you more as time goes. You have to be ready for that. Just in your mind, just get ready for possibility. Maybe you have to give her day and night care. Be always attending on it. It may happen. So her words are just words. Just sit there. She says her things. Fine. Let her say. She needs your eye to see what she doesn't see. She needs your arms because she's weaker. She needs the things you've got to help her. And that's correct. That becomes your practice. The more you care for your mum, the more she becomes your practice. And that's fine. It's only one period of your life. It's a chance to make good karma, give something back to her. Just work on weeding out your own negative thoughts. Just like, when you see professional carers, aged care, hospital care, all these people, they work with people, and some of those people are very stubborn, very nasty, sometimes aggressive, they just stay calm. They know what those people are saying, but they don't complain, they don't argue back, they just do the job. Trying to develop that kind of equanimity towards your mum, but with love as well. But equanimity means you don't react and you don't have to judge every statement she makes and sort of pick it apart. Mum, why did you say that? It's all wrong. You don't have to do that anymore. You just accept what she says. Second question, yeah.
I thought I like to read newspaper, news over the world and things like that, and also looking at some clips. But I'm aware that during my meditation, all this news that I read and maybe some clips that some of my friends send me will appear in my meditation. So in this masa, I stop reading any news and also stop watching any video or anything associated with news or images that will affect my meditation. But then I find that although I have stopped all these external source, my meditation still get affected by speech or even I seldom associate with friends and I have not been working, so I quite secluded. But then some talk, some news, some conversation that I overheard, or even some WhatsApp messages that I have, it will also my mom will appear in my meditation. So then I cannot stay in my reading itself. Although I use Budo and counting, it all doesn't help. After a while, those images or those words will just appear. So how should I progress in that way? Although I have cut down a lot, like news and other media.
Well, there are different aspects to our practice. One is what we call sense restraint. That, in daily life, where do you let your senses go? How do you look after your senses? How mindful you are with seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, your interaction with the world. So, it sounds correct. You you've noted that the more news you watch, the more it leaves an impression on your mind. And our mind is impressionable. So if you watch a lot of news that's about wars in Gaza and all this, and you're watching people protesting, people dying, planes blowing things up, a lot of that is quite confronting. Maybe you don't need to see all that stuff. You just see the headline, oh, war in Israel, and know vaguely what it's about, but probably you don't need to know every detail about a war. And all the other things, car accidents, and problems in society. You have to manage how much you absorb and how much you take in. This is central strain. The same with friends, gossip, family gossip, friends gossip, social media, all of this. That's part of our practice now, and it's maybe a more important part because we have all the media, digital media, bringing us so much more information than we used to get. So we have to manage it. But it sounds correct, like you said. You turn off. You don't accept or don't open up video clips and news. If it's not necessary, you can just leave it. If it's more important news about family or something that affects you, okay, you have to read it or look at it. But you're learning the right amount, and part of the way you learn is what is the right amount of all this stuff, is what it's doing to your mind. So if you have a few thoughts about a news item, and then they come up in your mind, or you see some images and then passes away, well, maybe there's not a big problem there. And you just know these things are impermanent, and it's just the result of seeing clips, reading stuff. It's gone into my mind, I have memories. If you have enough mindfulness, you just say, oh, it's just a news clip, let it go, it comes up, passes away again. Have enough awareness to see the impermanence of these things. But if you keep seeking them out, absorbing a lot, reading a lot, looking at a lot, of course, it will fill your mind up, and maybe it will start to make you feel sad and unhappy in different ways, or just not very peaceful. So limit it to an amount that it's not really disturbing you too much. Just know enough to get on with your business in life, but you don't spend all day looking at this stuff. Maybe you spend more time listening to Dhamma, reading Dhamma, much more useful than news and all of that stuff. And just because our friends send it to us, we don't have to open and look at it. Sometimes our friends send us total rubbish. So, you have to make some choices there. But also notice how impressionable the human mind is. It's not just you, all of us are the same. We're impressionable. So you have to manage that and have a good attitude as you have memories come up, of conversations, think of your mum, think of things you said, conversations. Try and establish mindfulness and consider, what have I said? If it was useful, that's fine. All you know is, that conversation was fine, useful. If it was something you feel you said that was said in anger, or you weren't very honest or something, okay, you know that, and now you're going to determine to be more honest or not speak in anger next time. So you learn from past speech, past actions, and that's part of mindfulness practice. It comes up, what do you learn from this? Even your mistakes you can learn from. Little by little, that will also make you more careful in the moment, in situations, because if you've been reviewing previously what you said and done, next time you're in that situation where you're tempted to tell a lie or change the truth a little bit or say something harsh, or when you're irritated, before you've said it, you may have that little, ding, be careful, you will regret this, because you've regretted it before, it will come up again. And so gradually you become more mindful of your speech. It's a process, you have to give it time, but meditation, regular meditation and review of speech and actions will help. We can't change the world very much, but we can change ourselves, how we relate to the world. That much we can do.
It's question number 3. Continuation from here. So my question is regarding harsh speech, because sometimes the right speech also, other than the force or divisive, that there's the harsh speech. Buddha also mentioned about disagreeable, but if the time is correct, it's okay to use. So I use harsh speech about once a year on the mouth, which kind of like did some reflection. The intention is not really bad, but I have empathy for her and her mom. So I thought if this situation continues and I don't say or do anything, they might create more bad karma to them. So then there was this recent event last week also that I raised my voice against her. So, but after that I reflected. Not sure if I have broken the precept on the right speech, or it is okay that so we also in some scenario or situation we might need to show her our maybe our view, not to so-called cling on to our view, but we need to demonstrate to her that maybe what.
If you think back to some occasion when someone else has used similar speech with you, how did you feel? If you can think, maybe it won't come to mind now, but that's one way to gauge a situation. If someone spoke like that to me, how would I feel? Like speaking with a mother-in-law, you've got to give her the respect of her age and her position. One, you've always got to speak the truth. So when we say disagreeable speech in terms of the Buddha, what he meant was sometimes he tells the truth and the person who hears it doesn't want to hear it because of whatever their attachments are, their biases. Maybe they want to hide something, they're embarrassed, they have their ego, maybe they don't want to admit to a fault or their wrong view. Disagreeable speech from the Buddha is never harsh in the sense it's always going to sound good. Choose good words, said at the right time in the right way, but it may be something the listener doesn't want to hear. That's the disagreeable part. So I would say, I don't know how you define harsh speech, but if you're in doubt about speech you use, you just think, if I was the one listening, how would I feel in this situation? It might give you an idea of whether it's correct or not. It's a tricky one, because disagreeable speech will always be disagreeable. So even the best time, they're still not going to like what they hear. But you can always turn it around and say, if I don't say this, is there any other solution to the problem? If I don't criticize them, or point out their fault or where they're going wrong, especially if it's an elderly mum, if I don't do it, what other solution is there? If we just leave it, is there any real problem? Is she going to change anyway if I point out her fault, her character weakness, or her bad habit? Is she going to change anyway? Because at 80 you don't change very much. Maybe best just to accept it rather than point it out. Maybe. These are the kind of reflections I would do. Only if she's doing something that you can see is going to harm her, maybe. You have to be firm. Don't do this, this will hurt you. She's making some bad karma, you might try and stop her.
That's the situation that she's bringing. It could be leading to that, because she's like giving her opinion, which is wrong, and then she tried to impose that wrong opinion to my brother, and trigger my brother, and will trigger his family. And she also tried to enforce that opinion to us, which none of my sibling and we don't agree with.
Yeah, I understand.
She keep insisting that she's right. So,
but if you're sure in what you know is right, You can have her opinion, it doesn't really affect you. You just know this is Mum's opinion, you don't agree. You don't really have to try and push back or tell her off or tell her she's wrong necessarily. If you think that's not going to work, okay, Mum, I don't agree with you, Mum, but you don't argue, you don't have to have a disagreement over it. You just say that she has her opinion. Mum, you have your opinion, I have mine. Smile, laugh, lighten up, whatever you can do. Maybe you have to explore different options. I'm not saying there's one answer here, but sometimes you have to look at another way, be creative, look at another way. Because people, as I said, they're not going to change much, so maybe not much point in causing bad feeling.
In the end, we apologize because of our rudeness, but we still don't agree to her opinion.
Yeah, well, the non-agreement is fine. Nobody can force you to have her opinion, but don't be rude about it. Just give her the right to have her opinion.
Quite bad after that, and because she spread around her opinion. It's like nobody agrees with it, but she still spread around.
Mom is just like that, no problem. It's an imperfect situation because as we get older, we are less sensitive to other people, we're less maybe in control of our own speech, opinion. We hold on to opinion which is no longer a very good opinion. But maybe you can just allow for that. That's Mum. There may not be a simple answer, but I would try to avoid any kind of harsh speech or criticism. I don't think it will be that helpful. You save that for yourself. Where am I going wrong? Where do I need to be criticized? You turn it around on yourself. Maybe that's more useful because you know how to change your learning, whereas Mum really has to do it for herself. And don't underestimate Mum. Maybe she picks up on everything. It's just she's also caught in her speech habit, expresses her opinion, but she'll remember these things as well. And one day she'll turn around and say, "Oh, my daughter, my son-in-law, they're so good. They never argue. They never use harsh speech. I love them so much." Maybe. Anyone else?
Just curious. I really like your state of equanimity. You're always smiling. Because as a laity, it's very tough. So I wanted to share. How do you really grow to that? Smiling at difficult situations, uncertain situations. It's very hard to practice.
It is just practice, isn't it? Letting go, knowing what you can change, knowing what you can't change. Practicing mindfulness, not holding on to unwholesome states of mind, because that's what makes us proud and stress and tense up. We're all carrying a lot of stress, and we need to loosen up. So one way is smiling, positive thinking, humor, relaxed, but not only, also mindfulness. And just seeing that an unwholesome state causes you suffering, maybe leads you making other people suffer as well, so let it go. That's what we're doing. Just keep doing it. Stress is pressure, tension, being oppressed by our own mind state, not free. Our own mind is our worst kind of master, our worst slave driver. Not out there, it's our own mind, our own thoughts, our own attachments. So the more you see that, the more you can shed some of those attachments, loosen up a bit, then your mind is going to be happy. All we can do is try. If you want to become a grumpy old woman, or grumpy old man, grumpy old monk, we don't want that, do we? So we have to practice letting go, loosening up a bit. Metta is a good foundation. Metta is the foundation, not the whole of the practice, but it's the foundation. It leads on to panya, wisdom. Because when you're more calm, you have goodwill, then you can learn from your experience very well. You can see suffering, its causes, what you need to do to abandon the causes. You can see the mind better because there's goodwill. When we lose our goodwill, we can't learn very well. We're just too stressed to learn, to pick up new things, to observe ourselves. And stress makes us narrow-minded, blinds us. So metta is a very quick and good antidote to a lot of stress.
So when I chant metta, is it considered metta meditation?
Partly meditation, especially if you have a particular person or relationship that is problematic, do some metta meditation for that person. But it's not the only thing, it's also action. The way we talk, the way we act, general attitude. You're allowing people to be the way they are, even if you don't agree with them, don't like them. Okay, that's respecting other people as you respect yourself. So it's an attitude thing that comes out in body, speech and mind.
Do you have any YouTube videos that can follow through on some of the metta meditation?
Probably, but there's so many on there, I wouldn't know where to say. Google it, Ajahn Kalyano metta, there'll be a few in there. I'll work on it. Get the metta course out. The course on metta. Next time in Singapore, the metta course.
Ask another question. Must Buddhists chant? As a Buddhist, must we chant? Because I do like Dhamma talks, I do like doing my own meditation and reading Dhamma books, but I just don't really like chanting that much. So is this something that I must do as a Buddhist?
You mustn't do anything as a Buddhist. It's really up to you. And that's probably why Buddhism ebbs and flows with the times, because it's so loose. We don't force you to do anything. Monastics tend to learn chanting more because you're in that environment. In a monastery, monks, nuns, they tend to learn to chant. They do it regularly, so they learn off by heart. And they find it has a very good effect on the mind. Positive emotions arise. Also, is a good form of meditation for when you're tired, early morning, late night. When you have a strong emotion, you chant, that can help you to let go of that piece of suffering that you're having. It reminds you of the teachings there. There's all these benefits. And if you're a monastic, you'll probably be doing chanting at many different occasions, like blessings, like morning and evening pujas, all kinds of things. So it's perhaps more natural for monastics to learn chanting. But even within the monastic community, some monks and nuns chant a lot, some just chant the minimum. So there's a variation. As a layperson, it's something you may grow into with time. When I first practiced Buddhism, I didn't know much about chanting. I was like everyone. I feel awkward, don't know the words, on your own, you don't feel like doing it. It's actually a bit easier these days because we've got YouTube and internet access where you can chant along with pre-recorded chants. That helps. And we've got all the information, we've got the books. When I started, there weren't even chanting books. It was like a little printout, what none had chanted. It was covered in mold because we're in the jungle and it was mouldy and damp and you're sort of struggling. Things have changed where everything is available now. So it's actually a golden era for all the access to all the information, the chants. One thing you notice, like enlightened monks tend to chant quite a bit. Partly it's out of respect to the Buddha, it brings you closer to the Buddha. It's the words of the Buddha. We chant suttas, parittas, reflections. They often chant, and they also, it's a mindfulness memory thing. learn these chants off by heart. It improves your mindfulness as you do that. And often I recommend it as a way to improve mindfulness. If someone's struggling in their meditation, maybe to pick up learning a particular chant for a period of time, like the range retreat we're just coming to the end of. I often say, well, learn a sutta or a paritta or a chant for this range retreat. It's one way, it's one skillful way people can improve their effort, their mindfulness, and they get something at the end. They've got a chant that they can remember. You get some confidence from that, and you get something you can use at any time, maybe when you're afraid, or you're angry, or you're very sleepy. You chant, and it can help you pull through that particular mood. But at first, if you don't like chanting, fine, no one will force you to chant. Maybe just reflect, see if there is a particular chant you like in terms of the meaning or the sound. Maybe just try one chant, getting familiar with one chant, and then you may expand from there. But don't worry, it's not essential. Some people just like to meditate. Some people like listening to Dhamma. We have our character. One time I was here in Singapore, and this cable car goes across to Sentosa Island. We were on that, a few monks and lay people in the cable car. It goes across halfway and stopped. It broke. Windy, like that, and you could see the ship going underneath the ocean. Half an hour, 45 minutes. So some of the lay people were panicking. Maybe the monks were panicking, but they don't show. Economists, no problem. But lay people, they don't hide it. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So let's chant. Lumpur Anand, Iti Piso, Bhagawa, Arahant, Samma. Get the chanting going, and that helps everyone to calm down. And eventually, I think it was about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, eventually we started moving again. So sometimes you might have an experience like that where you're nervous or need something to help you at a certain time, and you chant, you realize, oh, this is quite useful. I have lots of stories about people who have been afraid, sad, angry, and they've chanted, and it's helped them through that situation. Monks encountering wild animals, cable cars, people in their home encountering thieves, chanting. We even had one thief go down on the floor. Mum and Dad are chanting, and the thief comes out. I'm really sorry, I'm robbing you. I can see you're good people. Still rob them. We had one guy came to the monastery, he broke in, and he saw all our rules in the kitchen. You clean this, do that. So before he left, he wrote down, I swept the floor, I cleaned the plate, I did everything I was supposed to do, and then he left. And, he didn't actually steal. The only thing he stole was the broom. I think he took it with him. These sort of things, chanting, bring up good feeling. Other people see them. That's one thing that Buddha said. The devas hear you chanting. The devas like it. The devas will help you. It will attract them, and they'll go, oh, this person's worth looking after. We better make sure they're safe, they're okay. Devas love chanting, so in temples, when the people are the ones chanting, the devas come and they'll support and spread metta and feel good. Lumpur Cho, one of the enlightened disciples of Lumpur Mun, he would chant every night. Sometimes he'd stay in the forest with just a little bamboo platform, no buildings or anything, just sitting there. All the monks living with him would all gather around and just listen to him chanting, because when he chanted, all the devas came. He chanted sutras, and the devas come, and when the devas come, you get this really good energy. You feel really good. I guess you could say the monks were like getting a bit of free happiness and just sitting there listening to him chant, and then this really radiant energy would happen while he was chanting. And that's quite common when these enlightened monks chant, the devas come, good things happen, people have good meditation at those times. You chant at the Bodhi tree in India, or you chant in front of a Buddha statue in a temple. All kinds of good things can happen. And sometimes at our temple, at least once a year I'd say, people hear chanting going on, but no one's there chanting. And they say, Ajahn, who's chanting? And they hear all these people chanting. Do you have a retreat happening? Or what? Who's chanting? And I said, no one's chanting. They can still hear it. It's the devas chanting. So, it's not essential, but it's one part of the practice you can try. Maybe it will grow and grow with time.
Maybe the case of parents, can parents transfer the merits of loving kindness to their own children?
Yes, you can, definitely, and you should. Because, as we know, teenagers and they often have no wish to go anywhere near Buddhism. And parents are sitting there worried about the future of their children. And they think, I want my child to know what the Buddha taught, practice Buddhism, but they're not interested. At the very least, the parents carry on their practice and they can sit down and meditate and share thoughts of loving kindness to their kids, particularly when the kid is ill. It's the time I've seen parents, the parents will be there by the bedside of the kid who's seriously ill or injured, and it's that love combined with their faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, their practice of Dhamma, all the good things they've done in the Dhamma comes together. You can see there's a certain energy there that is helping the kids as well. Maybe you can't perform miracles like this as a parent, but don't underestimate a parent's love for their child. And if you're a meditator and you have faith, you may chant, you may invite monks to come or turn on the Dhamma, and you may do your own meditation for your kids. Not just if they're ill, just normally you might do that. End your meditation by sharing thoughts of loving kindness to your kids at the end of a meditation you do. All of this will help, definitely.
I do hear about saying that you cannot send that to the opposite sex. So what if the opposite sex is a spouse, a brother, your nephew, cousins?
Yeah, this is, opposite sex. If you're married, it means some other guy.
No, if they refer to spouse or...
Yeah, well, I would send a bit of metta to your spouse.
It should be okay.
It should be okay because it's your spouse. You don't want to lose your metta, maybe he'll run away or something.
But like to cousins, nephew, brothers, this
Yeah,
is okay.
yeah. Unless you see, it can happen, some sort of distant relative, you're starting to be attracted to them, it could happen. You see that, or stop. But normally family, if you're worried, maybe do it as a general aspiration. You're sitting there, may all my family members be well, free from suffering. You can do it as a general thing, as opposed to an individual or this person, because of course if you're visualizing or thinking of one person in particular, if it's the opposite sex, well, it can increase attachment, lust. So you have to observe what's going on in your mind as you do this. But one antidote is just have a general wish for everyone to be well, happy. But it's correct. It's one danger of metta is that you become attractive to other people, and you are attracted to them for thinking too much of them with lust, with attachment. But if it's family, it should be all right usually, and particularly kids. Children, so many times. Before I came here, there's this boy in Melbourne. He was a Thai boy, like 14 years old, and there's one afternoon this gang of kids came in front of one school. They're not from that school, but they started robbing each kid as they came out of school, and they're very violent and nasty people. The gang were only other schoolboys age, but they were robbing people. And he was the last person they went for, and they were trying to grab his mobile phone from him, and he held it back. And they had stolen a car. They were in a car. They pulled him into a car, drove off at speed, and they were fighting with him in the car, and eventually they opened the door and flung him out as they were driving, and he hit the ground. He was completely unconscious, and his head was totally bruised and bleeding. He was very lucky there was off-duty paramedics. You know, ambulance crew were just parked there having coffee or something, and they quickly picked him up and took him to the hospital. He's still in hospital now. I went to visit, you know, he's lost his memory from concussion. When I first went to see him, he was all puffed up and he just looked awful. You know, just a skinny little boy. But his mum and dad are there every day, all day. And you can see the you know, of course the mum and dad are very traumatized by the whole thing, but their love is pulling him out of this. You know, he almost died, but he's recovering slowly, but he's recovering in the right direction. And it's the parents' love. You know, it's the parents who got me there. The parents pull monk in. The parents love their kids. Who can we get? I'll get the monks. So, you know, the love of a parent gets all kinds of good things happening because they just won't leave their child alone. They'll be there for them. So they've got the doctors and the staff, monks come, friends come, everyone come. Everyone is kind of cheering for the boy. And, you know, he'll hopefully he should recover. I've seen that. I've seen kids with, you know, disease like encephalitis, where their brain has just turned off, and they're completely unconscious, just lying on a bed shaking for 6 months. Amazing. And the mum and dad are just there every day. And, you know, when they can, they bring the monks there, and they do their own chanting, their own meditation. They've done a lot of Dhamma, so they're adhitaning all the Dana Varami they've made to help their child. And the doctor said, your child is going to die for sure. Actually says that because, you know, it was like they've lost all hope, but didn't die. Recovered. Completely back to normal eventually. It took a long time. I've seen that quite a few times over the years, how the love of the parents can kind of almost will the child to survive and come through. And, you know, it tends to be parents who have faith in the Buddha, and then they have some good qualities, and they're just doing everything they can mentally as well as materially for their child. So I believe it works. You do what you can. Works the other way around as well. You've seen sons and daughters doing a lot for their parents. So it works both ways. Another one?
People have questions regarding Satipatthana. I heard from my wife that you mentioned about Satipatthana in the book,
Yeah.
which I have not read yet. So my question is, at what time or at which point of time should we explore Satipatthana? Because I think recently many ajahns are starting to talk more about Anapanasati. So at the moment, should we just focus on the metta, Paramasati, Anapanasati, and when the time is right, we will automatically transition into Satipatthana, or
Maybe.
any practice?
And you'll see all those ones you just mentioned, they all got sati in them. Recollection of death, Maranasati, Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, Kaya Sati, mindfulness of body, Satipatthana. Sati is the common word. So the sort of shorthand for all of this is sati. But it'd be good maybe to read the Satipatthana Sutta. It's not that long. Or else somebody's explanation of it is another thing you could do. You know, what the words mean, a bit of expanding on those words. You know, once in a while you read these things to remind you of what the Buddha was pointing to. So there's 4 main focuses for mindfulness: the body, and that includes posture, and the 4 elements, the breath, you know, all the different aspects of body, you know, feelings, physical feelings of pleasure and pain, as well as mental pleasure and pain. the mind itself, and Dhamma means everything. All the processes by which suffering arises, but also the practice that leads to the end of suffering. So you might summarize that as the Four Noble Truths. The point of Satipatthana is getting to the point where your mindfulness is established, and you're seeing the body without grasping, without attachment, without liking or disliking, just knowing the body as body, feelings as just feelings, not grasping at them, not clinging to them. Mind is just mind. So seeing the mind, it's obviously a very refined and practice, and it's not something you just sit down and do. You work towards this. Seeing the mind, knowing the mind as just the mind. It's not a person. Not seeing it as a being, as a self. That's what mindfulness does, and you can practice anapanasati and all of this satipatthana, these four foundations of mindfulness will come out of that. You've got to start somewhere, so this is why we give some technique, whether it's the breath meditation, Buddha, Buddhan Sati, mindfulness of recollecting the Buddha. Whatever meditation you do, that's the prime goal, is to bring out mindfulness, this quality of knowing the object. And then you can direct the mind to know the body, feelings, the mind itself. And all the teachings of the Buddha sort of are revolving around this, around the Four Noble Truths and around the practice of Satipatthana. Just he talks about different aspects depending on the sutta. The sutta and who he's talking to. He'll be expanding on different aspects of it. So sometimes you just talk about Satipatthana, it's almost like it's just a shorthand. Satipatthana, it's also good sometimes you have to read the explanation, think about it, try and get your own understanding. And this will grow through practice, through experience. Time
for Longpa to take a rest.
Any more questions before we finish? All good? Okay, well, very nice to talk to you. Wish you well with your practice.